Hello and welcome to day 6 of the San Diego Unified Visual Arts and Performing Arts Online Theater Workshop Series. I am Miss Bianca, your instructor and your guide. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to say, I can create a solo improvisation and solo pantomime. I can improvise to tell a story. I can use my body, voice, and imagination to tell a story on stage. I can warm up my body, voice, and imagination. Let's get started. But first, it's time for a recap. Let's review what we learned in our last video. Every play or show in theater has a beginning, a middle, and an end. In the beginning, we learn about the characters and the place. In the middle, the character goes through a complication or a problem getting what they want. In the end, the character gets a solution to their problem. In improvisation, we can create our own story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. A tableau is a tool used in theater to show a moment in a story. A prop is an object an actor uses on stage to help tell their story. Excellent review. Now let's get started with our warm-ups. We will first start by warming up our imagination. In this imagination exercise, you want to make sure you have plenty of space to move around. I am going to give you an activity to act out, and you must use the entire space to act out that description. In our first imagination exercise, we will imagine we are flying on a magic carpet. Ready? Let's go. Imagine you are stepping onto a magic carpet for the very first time. What does that magic carpet feel like? Maybe you don't know it's a magic carpet yet. Maybe it's a beautiful, colorful, amazing carpet with amazing texture all around. Maybe it's the most beautiful carpet you've ever seen. You step onto the carpet to take a closer look, and all of a sudden, the carpet shoots up into the sky. You hold on for dear life as you fly over the land. You can't believe this is a magic carpet. You hold on to the tassels of the carpet so you don't fall off. On this magic carpet, you feel incredible and free as you fly over the entire city. You can see the tops of trees and buildings. You can even see the ocean. You can see the people as they walk around underneath you. You get higher and higher. You get so high you can touch the clouds. And you swoop right down. As you swerve in and out of the city, you try to avoid people and trees as you go. You continue to fly on this beautiful magic carpet. You're having the time of your life as the carpet slowly comes to a stop. The carpet lands safely, right back in your original location. And scene. Great job, actors. Now let's imagine our next activity. We are going to imagine we are a wizard. Are you ready? Let's go. You have just graduated from wizard school and you're ready to cast your first spell. You take your wand out of the drawer in your desk. You hold up the wand. You can feel its power in your hands. You try to remember your very first spell. As you remember your first spell, you start to chant the words. All of a sudden, your magical spell worked. You can see the magic happening right in front of you. What was your magic spell? Was your magic spell an enchantment? Are you able to make everyone fly? Are you able to put yourself anywhere in the world? Are you able to create a huge big mountain of cupcakes and cookies? As your spell works, you try another spell. You wave your wand as you chant the spell. This spell didn't work. You look at your wand and you try the spell again. And it doesn't work again. You take another try, chanting the spell again. And it worked! Finally! Now, all of a sudden, everything around you has turned into an itty-bitty version of itself. You try to remember the spell to change everything back to normal. You remember the spell, you take your magic wand, and it's amazing! You were able to bring everything back to normal. And scene. Excellent job, actors, on your imagination warm-up. If you would like to repeat that activity again, feel free to pause the video right now. Now let's warm up our voices. We are going to count to 10 first, starting off very quietly and then getting louder as we go. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent job, actors. Now let's start off very loudly and get softer as we go. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent job, actors. I hope you were using your diaphragm in that exercise. Now we are going to count to 10 as if we are a drill sergeant. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we are going to count to 10 as though we are a baby animal. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we are going to count to 10 as though we are a robot. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we are going to count to 10 as though we are an opera singer. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we are going to count to 10 as though we are very, very shy. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent job. Now it is time for our tongue twisters. Our first tongue twister will be red leather, yellow leather. On the count of 3, you will repeat it with me 6 times. 1, 2, 3. Red leather, yellow leather, 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 red leather, yellow leather. Our next tongue twister will be knapsack straps. On the count of 3, repeat it with me 6 times. 1, 2, 3. Knapsack straps, knapsack straps, knapsack straps, knapsack straps, knapsack straps, knapsack straps. And our next tongue twister will be unique New York. On the count of 3, repeat it with me 6 times. 1, 2, 3. Unique New York, 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 unique New York. Excellent job, actors. If you would like to repeat that activity again, feel free to pause the video right now. Now that our voices are warmed up, let's warm up our bodies. We are going to warm up our bodies first by starting with our heads. We are going to shake our heads no. Now shake our heads yes. Again, shake your head no. Now shake your head yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. No. Yes. And no. Excellent job. Now let's switch to our shoulders. We are going to pull our shoulders all the way up to our ears and drop our shoulders. Pull your shoulders up and drop your shoulders. One more time. Pull your shoulders up and drop your shoulders. Now we are going to shake our wrist. Only one wrist, 5 times. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3. Switch. 1, 2, 3. Switch. 1, 2. Switch. 1, 2. Switch. 1. Switch. 1. And done. Now we are going to warm up our legs by jogging in place. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Jog in place. Jog in place. We're running. Maybe we're running on the beach. Maybe we're running in outer space. Maybe we're running in a park. Maybe we're running down the street. Now run faster and faster and faster and done. Excellent job, actors. You should feel pretty warm. Now before we end our body warm up, let's warm up our faces. Let's start first by opening our eyes very wide and close your eyes very tightly. Open those eyes wide and close your eyes tightly. Now open your mouth wide and close your mouth very tightly. Open wide, close tightly. Open wide, close tightly. Now open your eyes and your mouth at the same time. And close your eyes and your mouth. Open, close. Open, close. And now I want you to raise your eyebrows and frown your eyebrows. Raise your eyebrows and frown your eyebrows. Now I want you to move everything in your face as fast as you can. And scene. Excellent job, actors. We should feel very warmed up for the stage. Now let's start our acting activity. Last week we talked about improvisation and you improvised tableaus. Good job. We also talked about story, complications, and props. This week we are going to use everything we learned to create solo pantomime improvisations. I am going to give you situations or scenarios. A scenario is a description of the people, setting, and actions of a scene. A scenario will tell you maybe who you are, what you're doing, and where you are. Remember we said last week, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, even in improvisation. In these improvisations, you want to make sure you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Also with this exercise, we will be pantomiming. When we pantomime, you can't use any words, but you can use your body and your facial expressions to tell your story. Let's take a look at how we can do this. Step number 1, we receive our scenario. For example, my scenario could be, I am a teenager trying to sneak outside when my parents told me I could not go. Step number 2, we show with our bodies who we are, what we're doing, and where we are. Maybe to start the story, I move like an upset teenager by slouching my shoulders, rolling my eyes, and stomping out of the room. I can pantomime opening and slamming the door. Notice I exaggerate any object I touch and my facial expressions. I pretend to yell and frown at the slammed door to show I am angry and yelling at someone on the other side. Step number 3. Now I need to show where I am and also my problem or complication. Maybe I pace back and forth in the room and look out the window several times to show that I want to go somewhere. Maybe I fall on the chair with a big sigh to show my frustration. Then I look out the window. I pretend to see my friend. I look back to see if anyone is watching. I show one finger to my friend and go back to the door. I open the door very softly and not very much. I close the door and tiptoe over to the window. Step number 4, I then show my solution. I open the window very slowly. I show one finger to my friend again and place my fingers on my lips while making a shh expression with my face. I slowly continue to open the window and I suddenly freeze. I slowly turn around. I put my head down and frown sadly. I look back at the window and shake my head no. I look back behind me and slowly walk back to the middle of my room. End scene. Did you notice that each of my body movements told a different part of the story? Did you notice how I kept moving but also showing facial expressions at the same time? What do you think told you more about the story? My facial expressions or my body movements? Or both? Let's see you try it. I am going to lead you through the first scenario to give you some ideas. Try pantomiming this scenario as I talk you through it. I will ask you questions and describe certain things to you. As I ask those questions, try to give an answer with your body and with your actions. Try to think of all of the ways you can show in your body the descriptions of the story. Okay, let's start. Step number 1, your scenario is, it is your first day as a waiter at a really fancy restaurant. Let's plan some details of your story. How will you show who you are and where you are? What would a waiter wear? How can you show what you're wearing? What would a waiter carry to show that he or she is a waiter? Remember our prop exercise? You want to be very specific in whatever it is you're carrying, especially if you touch an object. How would a waiter move? Would you be carrying food perhaps? Or maybe talking to customers? How could you show that you were taking an order? How can you move through the space to show where you are? Are the tables and chairs really close together or are they very far apart? How does the food smell? How can you show you are carrying delicious food? Or how could you show you are carrying bad smelling food? Step number 3, now that you have shown who you are and where you are, now it's time to show your problem. Are you nervous because it's your first day at work? How can you show you are nervous in your facial expressions? How can you show you are nervous in your body? How can you show it is a very fancy restaurant? How does your posture change when you are talking to customers or when you are talking to other waiters? How can you show that the customer is sitting while you are standing? Do you bump into people a lot because it's your first day? Is the restaurant crowded with lots of people or is it empty? Is it a very busy day at the restaurant? How can you show in your body that it's a very busy day? Did you drop something? What happened when you dropped something? Did you drop it on the floor or on an angry customer? Step number 4, now it's time to show your solution. Are you now apologizing to the customer? Are you looking for something to clean up the spill? Did you drop glass? Are you trying not to step on the glass? Are you trying to prevent others from stepping on the glass? Did you tell another waiter? What about the customer? How are you helping him or her? Are you now looking for your boss? Is your boss yelling at you? What kind of facial expressions would you show if someone is yelling at you? Or is your boss very calm? How could you show that you are relieved your boss is so calm? How do you show the customer that you will take care of everything? Great job, actors! Remember, you were able to show all of these details without using any words. Look at how powerful our body movements and facial expressions are in telling a story. You want to be as specific as possible when you're doing your solo pantomime. Now I will give you different scenarios to try on your own. Be sure to pause the video after each scenario description to give yourself enough time to create a beginning, a middle, and an end to your story. Feel free to write down notes in your theater journal about anything you want to show with your body movements. Write down notes about your character or any actions you want to show. Try to use everything we talked about in pantomime. Make sure you exaggerate your movements and your expressions. Now let's do it. Scenario number 1. You are a student misbehaving and you get kicked out of class. Scenario number 2. You are washing windows on the 17th floor, but you are afraid of heights. Scenario number 3. You are a teenager on a roller coaster and you drop your cell phone. Scenario number 4. You are watching a very scary movie and you think you hear someone in your yard. Scenario number 5. You are speeding in your car and you get stopped by the police. Scenario number 6. You bring home a very unusual pet and your parents don't want to keep it. Great job, actors! Notice you are given some details, but it is up to you to improvise and show how you're going to tell the story with your bodies. Even though you don't have a script, in improvisation, we can create our own magic. You said yes to each of these scenarios. That is a sign of a great improvisation actor. Now let's say yes to what we've learned today. A scenario is a description of the people, setting, and action of the scene. A scenario tells you who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. In these improvisations, you want to make sure you show the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story. When you pantomime a story, try to be as specific as possible with your movements. Even your eye contact and your facial expressions can send a lot of information about a story. Now for homework. Option number 1. In your theater journal, you will create your own scenario for the same activity. Be sure to create a character, a place where everything is happening, and a problem. Your scenario only needs to be one sentence. However, when you're planning out your pantomime, feel free to jot down any notes you want to about your character and your scene. Write down as many details as you'd like to share your story. After you write down the details of your story, you will rehearse acting out your pantomime. Option number 2, performance. After you have created your scenario and your story and rehearsed your pantomime, you can now perform this for anyone in your home or your teacher. Here are some tips for your performance. Number 1, introduce yourself and the name of your show. Remember to face forward so they can see all of your activities. Number 2, explain the definition of pantomime. Number 3, tell your audience you will perform a solo pantomime in which they will have to guess what happened at the end. Number 4, tell your audience you will say scene after the performance has ended. Number 5, present your solo pantomime. Remember not to speak during your solo pantomime. Number 6, ask the audience to guess and tell you the scenario that they saw. Number 7, tell your audience your story. Did they guess correctly? Number 8, now it's time for audience participation. Grab one person to volunteer from your audience. Number 9, give them an additional scenario for them to pantomime. Number 10, be sure to explain the rules of pantomime. Make sure they are using only their facial expressions and body movements to tell the story. And then thank your audience for their participation. Be sure to record yourself doing this activity if you can. You can then add this to your video journal. Thank you so much for participating in the San Diego Unified Visual Arts and Performing Arts Online Theater Workshop Series. We have learned a lot in this series. Feel free to review any of this information with someone from your home or a teacher. Don't forget to keep imagining and keep exploring. With theater, you can be anything, anyone, anywhere. All you need is your body, your voice, and your imagination. Thank you so much for joining me in this wonderful world of theater. Keep creating!